One of the proximate causes for the recent Russian invasion into Georgia was the discomfort that the Russians have felt in having NATO allied countries on its border, what Russia calls its near abroad. This is a very significant security concern for the Russians, even though it may not quite seem to be so much for the West. And having countries like Georgia and the Ukraine, which are so far east of Europe, as members of NATO, brings into question the purpose of NATO to begin with, and whether or not there should be a reevaluation of perhaps even whether NATO should continue to exist as such. It was created in 1948 as first a deterrent to Soviet aggression in Western Europe, a Soviet invasion, and second, if there was a Soviet invasion into Western Europe, it would have the military force to repel that invasion. The Soviet Union disappeared in 1991, and they have not been a significant military threat since then, and certainly not to Western Europe. In the meantime, NATO has gone from being a North Atlantic organization, Western Europe, the United Kingdom, Canada and the United States, expanding eastward into former Warsaw Pact countries, those allied with the Soviet Union. This has, first of all, generated very serious concerns within Russia, which is now affecting its foreign policy towards the West. And at least as important, should raise questions as to what the policy purposes of NATO now should be. NATO was very reluctant to get involved in the Balkans in the early 1990s. It's been very reluctant to be involved in Iraq since the United States invasion in 2003. And it's been very reluctant to be involved in any significant way in Afghanistan. The purpose behind NATO, now that it has completely disappeared with the collapse of the Soviet Union, means that it's existing for no definable purpose. And indeed, the member countries have a great deal of differences in how they believe NATO should be employed and what their role in NATO should be. So this should be one item on the next president's agenda. What should be America's participation in NATO? What should we expect of NATO? And indeed, what should the role of NATO be in the future, if indeed there should be a role for NATO?